Welcome to the Pop Culture News here on The Experience. We've got a lot to cover, so let's just dive right in on this one. Now, for those who didn't catch it, there's a new trailer out for The Penguin, and it had kind of an interesting Easter egg in it. The upcoming Max series that spins out of Matt Reeves' The Batman features Colin Farrell reprising his role as Oswald Cobblepot. Now, in the trailer, the titular gangster is making his move to take over as mob boss of Gotham after Carmine Falcone died, of course. But in the trailer, which kind of gives off this total Tony Soprano feel, Cobblepot is talking about this older gangster that was around when he was a teenager named Rex Calabrese. And he admired Rex and even how Rex died. Rex basically died of a heart attack with a cigar still in his mouth. Now, anytime Marvel or DC puts a name in a trailer or a TV show or something, it makes me look it up because they don't tend to put these names in just casually anymore. Sure enough, Rex Calabrese is a character that was introduced a few years ago, like 2014, I guess that's 10 years ago now, from Batman Eternal #1. Now, Calabrese was a gangster, also known as the Lion, who had metal teeth and would rip his enemies' throats out with them. He was the mob boss in Gotham before Falcone, and then was believed to have died. Ended up taking on an alias named Leo Leone, and eventually showed up in prison, teaming up with James Gordon when Gordon ends up in prison. It's a long thing. You got to read Batman Eternal to get it. But the bottom line is that this was a Scott Snyder creation along with some other people who were working on the book. And they kind of retconned Calabrese into being the father of Selina Kyle. Now, the movie kind of establishes what has been the long-running thing in DC, that Carmine Falcone is Selina's father. And that's kind of established in the Tim Sale, Jeff Loeb, The Long Halloween. But, this change in 2014 happened. Now, is he speaking about Calabrese? Are they just throwing the name in there? Because he's talking about him like he's dead, but then he faked his death in the comics. So could this tie into Selina, bring her back in for the Batman 2, stuff like that? Don't know. There's no word that Zoe Kravitz is going to be in the Penguin series, but it is kind of interesting that they picked that particular name. Now, along with that news, Colin Farrell has been talking to Moviezine about the upcoming series and about working on it, the tone of it, stuff like that. And what he said was, it was a long and really wonderful experience. It's dark. That's what I can tell about it. It's really dark. It's really heavy, I think. It certainly was doing it, which is not to say I didn't have fun. I had an amazing time doing it. It's incredibly violent. In one man's rise to what he's always dreamed of inhabiting, which is a certain power or social status. The death of Carmine Falcone at the end of the Batman left a vacuum in Gotham to be filled. And so there are various people that are grabbing for power. This is Oswald's journey trying to rise to the top through extraordinary obstacles. Now, I still love the fact that Farrell is putting this much effort into this character. He's got to do the different voice. He's got to do all the makeup and stuff. And he does it in the movie. He's willing to do it in the TV series. It just shows how much he loves this character, which I think is awesome. Okay, now in other Batman villain news, this one's kind of interesting. Variety is reporting that Joker Foulé Adu, I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce that, but I think it's Foulé Adu, is going to be quite a bit different than the first film. Now, Todd Phillips is back, and he's directing the sequel and stuff. Joaquin Phoenix is back, and they've added Lady Gaga as Harley Quinn, of course. But the interesting thing is that this is basically going to be a jukebox musical. and has 15 reinterpretations of very well-known songs. And there may also be a few originals thrown in that weren't in the test audience, but still could end up in the film. Now, if you don't know the term jukebox musical, two great examples of that are Mamma Mia and Moulin Rouge, which is more than just a regular musical. It's where they take popular music and make it and add it into the song. So it's looking like this is going to be a musical, which makes sense with adding Lady Gaga. But if you would have asked me after the first Joker movie if, the best way to follow this up is a musical, I would have just gone no. But the first Joker did gross over $1 billion worldwide on a $60 million budget. But this new one, they're spending closer to $200 million on it. Maybe the extra $140 million is to get the rights to the songs. I don't know. It will be in theaters October 4th. Speaking of sequels, I'm getting better at these segues. According to Christopher McDonald, who we most recently saw in Secret Invasion, there's a chance for a Happy Gilmore sequel. The actor who originally played Shooter McGavin in the 1996 comedy was on Odyssey 92.3 The Fan. During an interview, mentioned that he had recently run into Adam Sandler about 2 weeks prior to the interview. And Sandler unexpectedly pulled out the first draft of Happy Gilmore 2. Now, McDonald said, I saw Adam about 2 weeks ago, and he says to me, hey, McDonald, you're going to love this. I said, what? He says, how about that? Then he hands me the draft for Happy Gilmore 2. Maybe you should cut that out of the audio because I don't want to be a liar, but he did show me that, and I thought, well, that would be awesome. So it's in the works. Fans demand it. Damn it. So basically, he wants fans to get behind the idea. It shouldn't come as a surprise with the way these sequels of long gestating sequels, basically, with Top Gun Maverick coming out 35 years later, Beetlejuice about to come out. Happy Gilmore made $41 million off of a $12 million budget, but that was back in 1996. So it shouldn't surprise anybody. All right, moving over to Marvel with the introduction of Riri Williams to the MCU in Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, we got to see Dominic Thorne put on the Iron Heart suit, but we lost that connection that was in the comics to Tony Stark. That was the big thing, was that Riri Williams was influenced by Tony Stark. But Robert Downey Jr.'s character died in the Avengers Endgame before we were ever introduced to Riri. So they weren't able to bring that connection in the story, but it was still kind of in there. There was a book recently released called Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, The Art of the Movie, and we got to see the original concept designs by an artist named Josh Neesey. Now, he spoke about it in there. He says, Riri is obviously aware of his work, speaking about Tony Stark. She got an RT, which is Stark-like technology, but it's her own version. So the design shows that there is a level of influence, but she's doing things her own way. Now, Neesey said he wanted also to bring in elements of Williams' own personality into the design, saying, we talked a lot about her personality and her qualities, so I tried to pull all of that stuff into the suit. She was described as being kind of young, sassy, gamer tech nerd, but really concerned about safety and incorporating hip-hop culture somewhat. She's also studying robotics, so I used some of the current-day robotic stuff, like the joystick. And because of her interest in classic cars, there's some roll cage elements in the harness and the racing buckle that's around her. So I was pulling parts from cars and robotics while the guard over her head is from a pull-down bar on a roller coaster. This shows that she uses what's around her, but also echoes her emphasis on safety. Now, we end up getting two versions of the suit in the movie, like we do in most Iron Man movies and stuff. The original, which was more of the elements that Neesey was talking about here, and then the slicker one that is more of the Wakanda technology that she ends up with at the end. But you can see that her original design was very much what Neezy was talking about. Um, Also in Marvel news, a new report has Scarlett Johansson in talks to join the upcoming Garth Edwards directed Jurassic World reboot for Universal. Yes, they're already rebooting Jurassic Park, Jurassic World. Now, this rumor has been out there for a while, but talks are solidifying, and the studio is actually looking to push this through for a July 2nd, 2025 release. So they haven't even finished casting, and we're, 15 months away? They're also bringing back David Cope, who you may not be familiar with, but if you are, he's the one that adapted the original Michael Crichton novel, Jurassic Park, for the first movie. Now, this is a reboot, and we are talking about a franchise that has made $1.67 billion in 30 years. So yeah, Universal wants to keep that money flowing, but they're not expecting to return any of the actors from the previous incarnations. So no Chris Pratt, no Bryce Dallas Howard, no Jeff Goldblum, no Laura Dern, and no Sam Neill. So, all right. Speaking of no, with all the different Star Wars projects in the works, you would think that, just about any character could come back. But is it pretty safe to say that one of the characters we're not going to get back, and that's Qui-Gon Jinn. Now, the character was introduced in the 1999 film Star Wars: The Phantom Menace. He is played by Liam Neeson, and while the 71-year-old actor still continues to do a lot of action and revenge movies, he's come out and he's also doing the upcoming Naked Gun reboot. But Neeson told Screen Rant that he thinks it's time to hang up the Jedi robes and lightsaber for the last time. He said, "I enjoyed very much being with Ewan and George Lucas on The Phantom Menace. We shot that 26 years ago. Would I do it again? I don't think so. Too effing old, I can't see that situation. I really can't, Now, he would be open to doing voiceover work as the Jedi Master and did appear as a Force ghost in the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, but it sounds like any further adventures of Qui-Gon Jinn will have to be with maybe another actor and some computer work like they did with the recent Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker in the Mandalorian series." Okay, one last story, and this one disturbs me a little bit because it's got some elements in it that I don't like. And it's Nelson Peltz, who is an activist investor trying to win 2 seats on the Disney board. And he is trying to push Bob Iger out. It's an ugly thing. It involves like Perlmutter and there's a lot there. But recently he's been criticizing the alleged woke strategy of Disney. He specifically called out Marvel's Black Panther and The Marvels, which feature black and women leads, respectively. Now, Peltz is an 81-year-old white guy who, by his own admission, has no experience in the media business. But he said in a recent interview with the Financial Times, "Why do I have to have a Marvel movie that's all women? Not that I have anything against women, but why do I have to do that? Why can't I have a Marvel that are both? Why do I need an all-black cast?" Neither of the movies that he's talking about have an all-black cast or an all-female cast. And both are films that were were sequels to very successful first movies. The original Black Panther did great. The original Captain Marvel did over $1 billion. So it made sense that they would do these follow-up movies. But, there's this whole woke agenda narrative that's being pushed out there. So, I don't know. I guess I shouldn't be surprised that an 81-year-old white guy has misogynistic and racial comments, but I don't know. So like I said, that one bothered me, and all right, we're going to end it there. That also ends the news. That's it for today. Thank you for watching, and stay with the experience.